Another.
Hello, and welcome to 97.9 Unity Radio, the best political talk show in the 508.
How many viewers do we have now?
Republic. We are the Rebel Republic.
7.
We have 7 million.
We're up to 7. Well, at least online we had 15. What did we have last week?
We had a lot. We had
15,000.
We had
Yeah.
16,000.
17 something, wasn't it?
17,000. 17,000.
Between the two showings I had, it got up to around like 35. So
I'm sorry, Dave.
a reason.
I'm just eating a little bit of the relief food that didn't get to the people in Western Carolina right now. It just happened to slide my way.
So Dave, just to start, I got into an argument with my mother. My mother took away the thing that came in the mail that said that you can vote early because she said she doesn't want me to vote because I would vote for Trump.
Your Kitty said this?
Yes.
No, she did not.
She did.
Why? She's going to vote for Kamala Harris?
Yes.
No.
Yep. You got to be kidding me.
Who's Herb voting for?
Trump. She took away my voting ballot and she said, "You can't vote. I'm not letting you vote."
That sounds like a lot of Democrats.
That sounds very leftist. That sounds very leftist.
Because you're going to vote for Trump. And I said, "You're going to vote for Kamala, and she's stupid." And she goes, "How dare you call her stupid? She went to Stanford, and she was a lawyer." And I go, "Yeah, and she prosecuted 16-year-olds with dime bags. That's how she made her career."
That's true.
Yeah. I said, "She's stupid."
Wow, you're doing your research, Steve.
And I said that she word salads her answers. What are you going to do about inflation? My mother taught me great values and how to work hard. And she was such an inspiration. And I learned to work hard and believe in myself. And life is going to be great.
Are you saying you bitch slapped your mom the other night because she took away your voting card?
She said I can't vote.
Wow.
So can I report her to an agency?
Absolutely.
I want that known. I want that known that my mother took away my early voting ballot and said that I can't vote early.
I'm sure that there is some watchdog GOP groups driving around in vans right now that would definitely pick your mom up and give her a beating in the back alley for doing that.
Because she said you can't vote. I'm not letting you vote because I know who you're going to vote for.
Right.
So that's what I went through. And Dave, I mean, that's un-American, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say it's un-American.
That's democracy. That's democracy right there.
Anyone, no matter what they're voting for or who they're voting for, should be allowed to. Who's an American citizen? Keyword citizen. Should be allowed to vote.
Yeah, I'm not afraid.
Not a guy who moved here last year illegally or moved here a week ago illegally.
Are you a citizen, Steve?
I am not afraid to call my mother out.
Are you a citizen?
In front of thousands of people.
You haven't answered the question.
I'm a citizen.
Okay.
I want them all to know.
People.
I don't
Steven's a man of people. And by the way, he's on his second meal in 2 shows.
I told you, this is all the MREs that were supposedly helicoptered out by the Biden administration to the people in Western Carolina. But
I don't have my early registration card because she threw it out.
So before I go into my tirade, beginning the fact that it's October 7th and some of Kamala's statements towards about Bibi Netanyahu, I do want to address the thing that Frank is talking about.
Israel guy, Netanyahu?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the Israel guy.
I told you I did my research.
It's like he
Super
just woke
great,
up.
dude.
Just woke
Steve,
up.
you should be on Fox, dude. I'm telling you.
Fill it in.
Oh my God, he'd be perfect.
I knew who he was.
The best
That's good. I said you're making
analyst.
great progress. You know these people, but I want to talk about the whole FEMA thing. What a disaster that is, because that's obviously on our home.
Are you surprised by that?
No, I'm not. No, nothing. Listen, I'm not surprised by it. Nothing surprised me. I actually am surprised when somehow someone who was a Democrat actually does something that I would be like, oh wow, that seems like that's reasonable. You know,
right,
so
right.
that would be surprising from my standpoint. But the fact that, I seen all the memes and posts about it, but we're giving this amount of money to this country, this amount of money to this country, this amount of money.
We're very generous. We're very generous
to illegals, and then $750, which won't even get there to the people because they have no way of getting the money.
Correct.
They have no ability to get to a computer. They have no they have no internet. They don't have any running water. They don't people can't.
They're buried under mud. They are buried in mudslides. They're still pulling people out. They're still pulling people out.
I hate to bring up Haiti, but you remember when Haiti had just because Haiti seems to come off every third episode for us.
Yes.
But remember when Haiti had the mudslides and how terrible it was for all those people?
And they couldn't get to their computers either, Dave. They don't have computers because
they didn't have computers.
They don't have food. They don't have food in Haiti.
Forget computers. Oh my goodness!
Forget the Apple. Hey, why didn't the people in Haiti pull out their Apple laptops to be able to access?
They have iPhones.
The Clinton Foundation relief program.
I'm so shocked that the people in Haiti were not able to access all that money that was available to them because they don't have a computer. They don't have access when they're stuck down there under a mud. Their houses are sadly made out of tin roofs, and the mud comes right in. They're just trying to survive.
They couldn't navigate their computer because they didn't have a mouse because they ate the mouse. But they have no food.
Dave, you have to admit,
they really do have no food. He's not saying it, even though Frank says it in partially with his jest. It's the truth. Those people are starving. And now it's happening to people in our own country under a mudslide.
But President Biden, he made stops last week in the Carolinas, in Georgia, in Florida to survey. He went to survey the storm damage from Hurricane Helene. That one.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice that he did that? He went to survey it. He wanted to see the damage and figure out how he was going to.
Well, every president should go to national disaster areas to survey the damage, just not 8 days later.
Oh,
that was the harsh criticism.
That's a long time to wait
on George Bush back in the day. If you remember, with Katrina, was that he basically flew over and didn't go in there and
people were holding up signs, come get me.
And I didn't buy the, people are like, it's racism. I didn't buy the racism part, but I did buy that, hey, do you care about us? I did buy that part of it. I did buy hey, why don't we do what's necessary to help these people? They're not just ants out there. We're treating them like human beings are like ants, Can
I answer that question? Why they can't? And I just found this out today in doing research and listening. Is that realistically, if your state is in peril, the governor needs to go to the administration and ask for help.
Yeah, they have to.
They cannot. The government cannot just send help. They need to have the permission of the government can't. The governor has to request it.
Correct.
Or the government has to go in and use the 25th Amendment or whatever and be able to remove the governor because he's not of his senses, right?
A national emergency.
Right. So with George Bush in Katrina, the problem there is that the governor of Louisiana didn't ask for anything and continued not to ask for anything. They were mobilized and ready to send help. And they you know what they did? They had thousands of military to send in to stop the looting. If you remember Katrina, the looting
I do remember that.
Right? It was crazy. Okay.
Of course.
So they had thousands of government troops to send in to protect and stop the looting, but they couldn't do it because the governor would not ask for help.
No.
So what they did was they recruited hundreds of ground field officials, whether they be from the sheriff's department or a state trooper department or anyone with any kind of background.
Militia.
And the army went down and were actually led and navigated by those field officials that were recruited by the Bush administration to be able to give some kind of law and enforcement during that whole looting episode down there with Katrina. So you have to look at it as, yes, and the governor of North Carolina is a Democrat. So I don't know. It's not a political thing or no, but after a point, if you're the president, okay, you know what?
But he's not really.
Why not just send help?
Though.
No, I don't care. Why, okay, there's a law against it. He can't do it. He has his hands tied. Why not just send help?
He doesn't really care anymore.
They had no. I wouldn't. I can't say that. I can't say that either. I can't say that either.
He's incompetent.
But no, and I can't say that either. I just think that he's indecisive. Because yes,
how because he indecisive?
Because there are laws that prevent you from doing these actions. But bottom line, those laws just need to be stepped over in this case.
But people are dying.
In any case, the laws need to be stepped over. If you're worried about a law,
extenuating circumstances.
You know what? He's done with this term in another 30 days or 60 days, whatever it is after the election.
He's at the beach.
So send people. They had the 101st and the 82nd mobilized. They had 1,000 troops ready to go in there. They had another 500 that are going now. They're sending. They were ready, mobilized to be sent in, and they weren't sent in to do their job. Okay, because they couldn't get permission from the governor. So send them in.
Yeah.
Let the governor. Is the governor going to sue the government, or is the government going to overthrow Joe Biden because he stepped over the governor's mandate to not call for help?
So you're not blaming Biden or
not totally in this situation. I can't, although I don't have all the backstory, so I don't know if maybe the governor did ask for help, and maybe the administration just sent him Christmas cards, whatever it is, because right now there's still minimal assistance being sent to those areas, Tennessee and North Carolina and North Georgia.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So if not enough is being sent right away, I mean, they said they appropriate $167 million now, but why wasn't that money available on day one? On day one, they said they did not have enough money for any kind of FEMA relief for this and future projects because the budget has been drained. But they have $167 million to send to Lebanon.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, they like the Lebanese.
Well, no. But again, why? It's not that they like the Lebanese. To me,
we want to help the rest of the world.
This is a big issue. I think the biggest thing is we're spending and you could argue the different wars and stuff, but the big thing is that's draining our money that we do not need to spend any money in is the illegal aliens, the illegal. That's one area you could debate. Whether you're more on the nationalist side or you're more like, oh, this war is important or not important. And me and Frank could debate which is and which isn't and stuff. He might be right, I might be wrong, but you could debate those. What to me there is zero debate on is that we're giving money to people that are not citizens of this country and taking that away domestically from it's FEMA. That's where the FEMA money is going to, right?
Exactly.
You can argue the defense budget thing on how we allocate that, but whether it's proper to allocate it one way or the FEMA money is going to the illegal migrants.
It's going to the wrong people,
which should be going to our own citizens.
Yeah,
and
they must.
The reason why when people argue, oh, you're against, these people just want to get asylum. Okay, right. There's not infinite amount of money.
Well, I think that's just an accounting error. They must not know how to use Quicken.
You want to get asylum? Go hang out in Cucaracha, Mexico, and wait for the damn papers to come through, and then come through the port of entry. Don't. Yeah. Day one, Dave. Joe Biden opened up our borders and said, "Come on in," and they were coming in by the millions. Remember those convoys, those walking convoys that were coming from Central America?
It was amazing.
I mean, literally
carrying everything they own.
Literally, it was like the Pied Piper, and somebody was blowing. Joe Biden was blowing the flute, and he was leading all those people up to the border. And all they got to do is, hey, just get across the river. Just get across the river, and bottom line, we're going to show you where the shallowest part of the river is, and we'll have nobody there, and you'll be able to come on in. And you know what? Funny how you're going to be directed right to a airport or a bus station,
and they're
or somewhere
carrying everything they own.
Right, exactly.
Amazing.
Not to the major city airports or bus stations, but to these scattered areas, like what you see with Haitians in Ohio. Okay, right. Because those are easier to cover up, right? If thousands of migrants are coming into New York City, it's going to create a problem. Aurora, Colorado. Where I never heard of the place before that, right?
No,
so now
Same thing with Springfield, Ohio. I never heard of Springfield, Ohio.
Springfield, Massachusetts. Now the thing is, so bottom line, they're sending all these immigrants to small areas. Now all of a sudden, DeSantis and what's his name in Texas get smart, and they're like, you know what? We're going to start flying them in and dropping them in to the big cities, and let's see what happens. Chicago, New York, Boston. Where else that's been affected by not just a few immigrants, not just a lot of immigrants, unbridled amounts. These cities can't handle it.
Frank, I'll tell you my other possible grand conspiracy, right? Mayor Adams in New York City, who was part of the Democrat machine, spoke up against the migrants coming in, because obviously it was flooded, and all of a sudden he was like, wait a minute, this is actually a little bit out of control here. I'm going to speak up against this. And when he spoke up, amazingly, the FBI was at his door. Amazingly, he's being, he hasn't been forced out yet, but they're working on forcing him out, right? Amazingly, because even though he is a Democrat and he believes everything that they believe, basically, but he was like, wait a minute, people in New York City are starting to kind of backlash against this. I'm not going to be the guy that let every migrant come over and cause crime and all these things going on. And I'm not going to be the one responsible. I'm going to speak up. The gig is up.
The gig is up.
That's right.
I had a question. So they made the decision that Biden wasn't going to run for a second term. That's what they decided on. And Kamala was going to replace him and run. Right? That's how it all shook out.
No.
They
didn't want Kamala.
Okay. Well, they did, but that's what happened.
She basically got dumped onto the lap of the DNC by Joe Biden.
Right.
Yeah, Biden really made that. You could argue Biden made that move when they knew they were going to dump him. He counter moved. He made the counter move.
Here you go. Here you go. Here's somebody who had zero approval. Win with her, right?
Okay, because I keep getting it confused. I keep getting confused. Like Biden's not president right now, and Kamala is.
Right.
But she's not.
Correct.
She's still the vice president.
But listen, that's how it was all along. And so Biden did nothing.
Well, neither did she.
Kamala did nothing. Yeah. So who do you think was running the country?
Well, nobody. That's
the think tank of the DNC. I'm telling you, it was running the country. It wasn't your president or vice president.
The Obamas ran.
Basically, I would say that. Yeah. I would say Hillary Clinton has a little bit of a factor. I would say Barack Obama has a definitely big hand into that. Whether what's her name down in Florida, who's was the head of the DNC. I think she got removed though. Oh man, she had that little scandal with Donna Brazil.
Nancy Pelosi.
No, she was the head of the DNC party. Or
the party.
I can't remember her name. It just escapes me right now. I know it's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't.
Who was Obama's right hand person? Right?
Yes. And her name, but she was really running the country, and she had that scandal. They fed the questions to Donna Brazil. Or Donna Brazil fed the questions to what's his name running. So Joe Biden. So just all that stuff. All that stuff.
Valerie, no. Not Valerie.
No, I'll find it. Oh my God, it's terrible. It's on the tip of my tongue. But all that just shows you is bottom line is that nothing is to be trusted that comes out of the White House. Any information you get here, publicly, press release, press spokesperson, anything like that, it's to not be trusted coming out of the White House. That's all.
Valerie Jarrett, right? No.
It was a. Oh boy, it was. I'll find it. I got to look it up.
Was it a woman?
A woman, correct? Yeah, she had two last names. It was like a surname, and I can't remember her name. Rosen something
and Dave, you are correct. Kamala said that DeSantis was selfish for reportedly not taking her hurricane-related calls. So she apparently called Governor DeSantis and wanted to talk about the hurricane, and he must have been on the other line, and he wouldn't take her calls. So she must have had people ready to go. And he didn't want to talk to her. She said that it's utterly.
So
she said Yeah, she said people are in desperate support, in need of support right now, and playing political games at this moment and during this crisis situation is just utterly irresponsible.
I don't believe anything she says. I don't believe anything.
Kamala said on Monday. Yeah, she said it's political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first. And that's what she said. She said that they had plans to bring relief to Florida, and DeSantis just wouldn't take calls. I don't know.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Oh, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Yeah.
She was running the whole show, and so there's a group of 4 or 5 people handpicked that are actually calling the shots right now for this country. It's definitely not your president, because he's in nappy time land, and it's definitely not Kamala Harris. She hasn't called. Well, let me say something now. She has co-signed everything that this administration has done because she's part of it. We talked about the mob last week, about how it gets all tied in, top down, the boss through the capos through everyone else. Everyone is responsible. But bottom line, if you think she came up with any innovative ideas, any ways to twist things to make them pass through Congress, nothing.
About her policy.
Nothing.
What are her policies?
What are her policies? Well, all right, bring me up something. Bring me up something. She obviously we know her stance on abortion. Obviously, we don't know her stance on immigration because it's changed. It's done a 180. We don't know her stance on bail. I haven't heard anything on bail reform. She's all for that or not for that. I'm assuming she's for that because she's before.
She's for it, but allegedly she's going to criminalize the illegals, which I still don't believe.
Right, but they haven't done it so far. So why would they do it? No. Why all of a sudden are they going to do a 180 again? They're doing this to appease voters for 30 more days, and then all of a sudden it's lights out, baby.
I don't know how you can do that. So you can lie about what
politicians lie every day,
and then once you get elected, not.
You know what? Somebody made a great point. I was listening to it on talk radio. I think it was Brian Kilmeade. So he had somebody on there, and they were talking about Donald Trump. They were talking about Donald Trump is the only president. Everyone promised to move the Israeli embassy to Jerusalem. They promised to move it to Jerusalem. That was the big.
That's the capital, isn't it?
That was the big. No, Jerusalem's not the capital. So they promised to move it to Jerusalem. Okay, it's a religious factor more, and also international factor more than anything else. George Bush promised to do it. He didn't do it. Clinton promised to do it. They didn't do it. Obama promised to do it. They didn't do it. They all promised to move the embassy to Jerusalem.
Okay.
Donald Trump said, "Hey, this is part of my promise. I better do it." So he did it. So what you're saying, you're looking at people are saying, he lies. All politicians lie.
Well,
but bottom line, if he's lying about saying, "Hey, I had the greatest inaugural crowd ever," or whatever, okay, yeah, he spruces it up. But I think when he tells you on policy, when he tells you on effect, when he tells you that he does it, or at least he attempts to do it.
Yeah.
Politicians do not attempt to do that. They don't want to do it. They make empty. It's called empty promises.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, but you can't. There's no repercussion on that. They're promises. They're not signed guarantees.
Oh well,
I promise.
I don't agree with that.
I promised Steve to be the crappiest co-host you'll ever have on a podcast. Okay, I promise you.
Right.
I
Steve, throw some oranges at him.
Well, no, I just
two, please.
I don't think that's fair. If you say you're going to do something and then you get elected and then you don't do it,
unless it's in writing, unless it's on a piece of paper and it's a law or it's guaranteed. No, because people don't remember. They do, but they don't remember.
Oh,
they don't. We're an Instagram society. We're a Snapchat. 10 seconds. Bang, bang, bang. We don't remember. You think we're going to remember what Kamala Harris promised 60 days, 70, 80?
I don't remember what she's promised already.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't think she knows what she promised. She
probably
promised anything? Yeah. I mean, she's not really going to do much.
So she had a 60 Minutes interview.
Yes, she did. She did. She's great at the word.
A lot about nothing.
I love the word salad.
And why would Trump want to go on 60 Minutes? He had Leslie Stahl before, and Leslie Stahl, as soon as they sat down in the chair, attacked him like a vicious wild boar in the forest. when she was trying to ask him questions.
Yeah, I know.
She wouldn't even get a chance to breathe, and she went right for his throat. And that's when he got up and he walked out.
I don't understand how you can get away with an interview like that when you get asked a question.
But nobody. If you're going to ask the question to one candidate, you got to ask the same damn question, the same damn manner to the other candidate. Yeah. If not, how can you compare things? You're doing it's almost like a cost comparison, right?
Yep.
So I have 10 apples and 10 apples. I want to know which store is going to sell them at the cost that I want to buy them at.
Right.
Instead, you got 10 apples and 7 oranges. And they're trying and somehow the oranges are healthier. So I'm gonna pay more for the apples, right? But I want the oranges cheaper. But the oranges, I don't know what the real price is. I'm just gonna guess at it, but I gotta have them. That's a mess. It is that's what I'm saying. There's no comparison because they're attacking. I think I said it the last podcast, the one before. This guy for 8 years, 7.5 years, they have been at his home with a megaphone every day, every night. Okay, I'm being facetious, but yes, they have been at his throat every day, every night. Right, two assassination attempts,
impeached him twice.
Every media outlet using the same. How does every liberal media outlet use the same terminology when they describe someone? For example, the last one with J.D. Vance. Weird. They're weird.
I thought he was pretty good.
Weird.
Though.
Yeah, no. But what I'm saying is, every liberal outlet used the word weird. So you don't think there's a press release by the DNC to all these liberal agencies
to call him weird?
To call him and the president and vice president weird. Okay. After J.D. Vance did very well in that debate, and Tim Walz looked like he was a deer caught in headlights. And I haven't heard the word weird once. Have you heard of weird? I haven't heard weird once. Haven't heard it.
Oh, because Walz is weird.
Correct. But they can't say that.
Weird.
But they can't say that.
I can't believe
he's a little odd.
When people talk about how they're like, I can't believe it. Trump is going to be our president. Trump is a very accomplished individual. Like, I mean, let's take away the building wise, what he's built. He's become a billionaire, he's
a philanthropist.
He's built a successful business, like multiple successful businesses. And then I see guys like Walz. He's the guy who
he let a city burn down.
He's the guy that was full of shit in your classroom when you were a kid, and you're like, this kind of dorky guy is full of shit, tells tall tale stories. In the old days, that guy, nobody paid attention to him. No. Nobody. Okay. No. I'm not saying nobody should pick on anybody, but nobody paid attention to him when he was saying his nonsense. Okay. Right. Now that guy somehow has become a person that's a governor and a vice presidential candidate. It used to be that if you were as a woman, you use your sexuality to move up in the ranks. Yes. In the ranks, it was frowned upon.
Correct.
Now is what? That's a good thing. We've Kim Kardashian our society that being a prostitute is a good thing. No,
I think it's about having a jail. No, it's about having. You got to have a sex tape.
Go to jail. It's not fair to them. They're trying to earn a living. I don't think that they should go to jail. Okay,
because it's a sex tape.
The only person they're harming is themselves. Okay, those actual prostitutes, but they should not be climbing their way to the presidency. And someone says, "Oh, she didn't do it." The guy was married.
Yeah,
Willie Brown was married, and she used. When Willie Brown was glad to help her with it, used his influence to gain power in San Francisco and ultimately in California and ultimately nationally. No, that is not who should be the president of the United States. Donald Trump does have some flaws, but he did not sex his way to the top. Okay.
No,
I'm sorry. I don't know.
Yeah, Stormy Daniels did not elevate his case.
Well,
he brought it down. Whereas Willie Brown,
then.
He got laid a lot. I mean, I can't blame him for that.
No, he should.
My point is, he's not using that.
to elevate his status.
To leverage it. She's leveraging it to gain political power.
And Dave,
Cleopatra may have done that. Okay, we're supposed to be a civilized organization.
Did you just say Cleopatra?
Yeah. Joan Collins. Joan Collins. Yes.
Oh,
great movie, by the way. Cleopatra was a lot smarter than Kamala Harris. Let me tell you that.
Did Judy Garland do that?
She got Julius Caesar. She got Julius Caesar to bow to her.
Right. Now, Dave, on the other hand, you point out what Kamala looks like, or Kamala looks like. But bottom line, I think Tim Walz, remember Tiananmen Square when the one Chinese student stood in front of the tank in the square during the protest?
Where the guy lit himself on fire?
No, he didn't light himself on fire, but he was blocking the path. He was blocking the path of the tank right during the thing. I thought that was Tim Walz, the way he was talking about how he was there during the whole uprising in China in '89 or whatever. I think it was '89.
Where were they setting themselves on fire?
On fire, they just set them recently. They set themselves on fire. There have been 4 emulations over the past 6 months because of the Gaza Israeli conflict. One military guy, one other guy. Just they're torturing themselves.
No, I'm saying that there was the one in like the '80s.
Thing, Steve. So the Chinese thing was. Tiananmen Square was the students, college students.
Oh, was that the Kent State thing?
No, Kent State was in the United States. Tiananmen Square is it's in China. It's in China. Is this really a political podcast?
No, I know there was the protest at Kent State.
Kent State was during the Vietnam War.
Okay,
there are no Chinese at Kent State.
I got mixed up. I got it mixed up. All right. So
I'll restate this. I'll restate my statement as I was ripping Kamala on this. If because I thought about Cleopatra. If Cleopatra, she was very crafty. Everything I've read was very crafty, very smart, and utilized the. I'm not saying she utilized sex, Cleopatra, because I don't know that. I wasn't alive during that time, but she utilized her gifts of attractiveness to get what she wanted. I think that's different to me. Okay. Now I'm not saying she did or didn't have sex, but I think that's very different using your attractiveness versus actually doing things with somebody to do that. So I think there's a line, right, of craftiness that goes. That's called. It's like when I used to read all the different animals like tigers and lions, and what I remember reading about the puma was that I was like, the puma, he's fast, but he's not the fastest. He's athletic, not the most athletic. He's a good killer, but he's not the best killer. What made the puma so good is the puma has a craftiness to him, his ability to maneuver and figure things out.
Well, that's like cats in general.
Are we talking to politics or baseball? I feel like Bob Uecker right now, and they're bringing out the crafty left-handed veteran out of the bullpen.
Well, what about JFK? JFK was with banging Marilyn,
banging everybody.
But was that moving him up in the world, or was he just leveraging his power to have sex?
Leveraging his power.
I think it moved him up.
Willie Brown was leveraging his power.
Right.
Willie Brown was leveraging his power to have sex with Kamala.
Where is JFK going any higher than the presidency of the strongest country in the world?
You're being the president and you're banging Marilyn Monroe.
Right.
So that actually makes you higher than just being the president.
Maybe we're in a new world. Maybe we're in a world
that's what I think.
Frank don't even understand, where all bets are off. All bets are off. And there is no such thing. It's just like the NCAA in college football. There is no rules anymore.
It's the Wild Wild West.
Yes. And so me in my, I guess, ignorant mind, I
understand what you're saying.
Does not understand that there are no rules anymore.
Right.
Me and Frank may be caught in the 15 years ago when there were certain kind of things that.
We're in the Matrix.
But there are no rules, and that's maybe part of my own problem. So maybe Kamala is the genius, and we're the idiots.
Right.
Maybe she's the genius.
Dave, would you have voted for JFK, you think?
But if you're going back then, the whole family was Democrats. Everybody was a Democrat.
Yeah,
sure. You had to.
100%.
Nixon looked atrocious in that first television
Well, he
interview.
sweat a lot. They said.
Well, they put 17 pounds of makeup on him. That's the problem. He was sweating because he was covered in layers and layers of makeup, and he, tricky Dick.
Would you have regretted voted for JFK?
I don't know. I don't regret voting for any president because you know what? I don't trust any of them. I don't like any of them. I don't like anybody. I like the culminating. I'm serious. I like the culminating effect. I like the culminating effect of the race.
Yeah,
I like the culminating effect of the race.
It's
you know
exciting.
what I mean?
It gives you something to talk about.
Remember when Ronald Reagan was running against Walter Mondale? And
he was really bad.
They did. Well, the thing is they tried to do what it looks almost like this past race with Trump and Biden, although less to effect because Trump is kind of old too. They interviewed the interviewer was talking to Reagan, and the whole point of the thing was that Walter Mondale is such a younger and more enthusiastic and energetic candidate than Ronald Reagan.
Right.
And Ronald Reagan said he
was the oldest president.
And Reagan at the time said, "Listen, I will not hold it against my esteemed opposition at the inexperience of this youth and being apologetic." And that cracked the whole room up. I love that kind of stuff. I love the back and forth banter. I love the whole culmination too. Every day a new poll comes out. I can't believe there's got to be so many people doing polls right now. It's not even funny. Every day, who's up 2 points, who's down 2 points. I'm telling you right now, the country has already made up their minds. In this race.
You said that, but you said the VIP debate definitely helped.
The what?
The vice presidential debate.
It didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. But bottom line, no one's voting. No one's voting for JD Vance or Tim Walz. They're not.
Right.
No one's voting for So bottom line is help hurt doesn't matter. But I'm telling you right now, the election is already done. We could do the poll tomorrow or the voting tomorrow.
My mom took the thing away.
Listen, you can go get another thing. Okay, you can get as many as you want. You can go to your polling station to pull out your signature because you are a citizen of this country. You signed before when you voted initially,
I have, yes.
And they'll match your damn ID up with your signature.
I need the ID.
And you just walk in. You may not. They may know you. Maybe a guy who knows you says, "Hey, Steve, I know who you are. Here's your signature. Is that yours? Yep, that's mine." And they have you countersign it right there.
But it is wrong that it was taken away from me.
Absolutely, it's wrong right there.
My right to vote.
Absolutely, right now. I got a couple guys.
I want everyone to know that on the show.
If you need a couple guys to come to your house and straighten your mom out, I have no problem in doing that.
She took my thing and said that
she violated your rights.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah. Can I have her arrested for that?
I think you can.
I can file.
I think you can. You want me to call? I'll call the authorities right now. Let's get a squad car down right to your house.
If we see your mom at 2 a.m. on some of these security cameras when they're putting in the
sticking the ballots in,
bringing in boxes and boxes of ballots.
Yeah,
I'm calling it to the carpet. I'm calling
that's the greatest podcast host in the universe's mom. Throw 2 oranges at her.
Yeah,
someone knock her out.
Someone get her.
But so you're admitting that you would have voted for Kennedy as a Democrat?
Yeah, I don't see. I probably would have. Well, I wasn't born. I'm 67.
That's why I'm asking you now.
But I mean, I would
yourself now.
I would have myself now if I was. I most likely listen. There was such a sentiment of love of being. We used to care about being citizens of this country and Americans. We had pride in our country. We don't have that anymore. All we do is look at the negative side of this country. You know why? People want instant gratification. They don't want to go through 40 years of hard work. They don't want to put in 35, 40 in a union and then wait for the retirement money and all that.
Right.
They see some young ass smart aleck 21-year-old who just made $6 million in the stock market. And I got to have that right now too. I'm not there's no sweat equity in this country anymore because it's real hard to do it now. It was almost easier. It seems stupid, Dave. It was almost easier 60 years ago to have a better quality of life because money, you weren't making a lot of it, but money had some value to it. Now money has no value to it whatsoever. Money has no value. It's just it's a piece of paper.
Right.
You can't buy anything because it costs so much. You can't leverage anything because everything costs so much. You can't invest anything because you don't have enough of it to invest to get something faster. It's got to be that 30, 40, 50-year policy. And nobody wants to wait for that anymore.
So let me propose this. Dave, if you had more money because of the election or whatever, or their taxes weren't as high, what more would you do with your business currently? If you had more money, what would you put it towards?
If I had more money for my business because I
Yeah.
wasn't what
because taxes were lower and yeah, you had more money because of
I
it.
think you'd have a better quality of life. Like you don't have to have two people working in a family.
Right.
You could have one person that does dedicate their time to the child instead of like both people working and figuring. There's a lot of there's a lot of things there's a lot of things that, because there's costs that are higher, that you cannot do in the same way. Now there's also it's also a vastly different world as far as from like informationally than it was back then. Like, so you brought up Kennedy. Would you have voted for Kennedy, right? Yeah. Here's how the Democrats have changed.
Everyone loved Kennedy.
Right. I'm going to read, and Frank will know this quote, okay? What Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Was a Democrat saying that, okay? Yeah. The saying now is, among the Democrats, is get yours, screw everyone else.
Right. And then burn, baby, burn. The guy let his city.
By the way, if they don't look like you, and then they're in the wrong group, that we determine that you're people not looking like, instead of people figuring out how to get along with each other, we're different races. We all figure out how we can get along. No, because you're this race and I'm this race and this person this race. We all have to be separated. Like,
correct, right?
The world was fought to bring people together, no matter what race, creed, color they were. Martin Luther King, who was once one of the great leaders in African American culture. Well, Malcolm X people now vilify him because he was saying, "Let's bring people together." I mean, it's.
Well, I thought he had a lot. I thought he had a lot of mistresses too that caused problems.
Yeah. Well, did he have flaws like any other human being?
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. But Malcolm X too. He was a good leader.
Malcolm X had some leadership qualities that were good, but Malcolm X do you understand anything about Malcolm X? The reason why he was killed,
he was Islam,
was because he changed his thought process from what it was he was militant. He was by any means necessary. This is the whole things that are lost in history. Everyone thinks that Malcolm X, he said, we're going to take our rights by any means necessary, kill people. The original whole Black Panther movement thing. Correct. That's how we're gonna do it by any means necessary. No, in the end, Malcolm X was killed by the people that were originally by his side because of the fact that he changed and he realized Martin Luther King's philosophy was the right philosophy. Not what he originally thought.
The guy doesn't know who Bibi Netanyahu is, but he knows Martin Luther King Jr. had mistresses.
No, they said that.
What are you reading, Steve? Don't you oranges at him.
Malcolm X was in the Nation of Islam, though, right?
Yes. He was protected. So that's these are the things I don't know for sure. Okay.
Well, I think he was a preacher under the Nation of Islam.
Or they protected him. I think they protected him.
But he's part of it. He was Elijah Muhammad welcomed into the Nation of Islam.
Welcomed in, yes.
And then once he switched to being a Muslim and started to, and they saw his gift of they saw his gift of recruiting. And listen, I'm not against the guy because. If anything, he's the one that said, "Don't trust the Democrat. Don't trust the white people." Said the Democrats.
He was like, "Don't trust." Right.
If
they're handing you out something, don't trust it.
Right. So they see it, but bottom line, at least he brought structure to their people. They brought organization. They brought power. They brought things that are needed. Things that we've lost today. Things that many communities have lost today. But I'm with you, Dave. If they got to stop. If I hear one more Democrat or liberal or whatever come up and throw the race card in my face, I'm going to knock them out. I don't care what it is. I'm going to knock them out. I'm sick and tired of hearing about the race card. Less people are racist today than ever. They are, because even the older guard.
I just think they want money. I don't think
no. Even the older guard has sort of pulled back and realized that, bottom line, within 20, 30, 40 years, this country will be a meld of different ethnicities.
Yes.
So we're going to be maybe a light dark skinned people.
We'll be a minority.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Things progress. You know what I mean? That's no big deal.
No.
You have to accept people for who they are. You have to accept the good and the bad. Every race has good and bad.
Absolutely.
But if you have to have these political pundits and these online jockeys,
but that's what we are.
That are telling me what's that?
We're political pundits.
Yeah, but I don't think we're throwing out not inconsequential information. I don't think we're throwing out bad information.
Oh, right.
I really think we're kind of on an even keel. We might listen.
I think we are.
Like I said, you look at me. I'm sort of a flat in the middle guy as far as values. I'm more of a money guy. I'm a fiscal conservative. I need to know where my money is.
Socially liberal.
So socially, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But bottom line, you have to look at the structure that is lacking in today's society. Right. And I think that Malcolm X brought that.
He did.
And so, and Martin Luther brought that. Martin Luther brought, a peaceful protest and all that. That's all great. But for us to compare those people, Kennedy, would you vote for him? Would you vote for him?
Yeah.
Back then, it was a simpler voting process.
That's true.
There was less information.
Yeah.
You didn't know that he had 10 mistresses. You didn't know any of this stuff up front.
You didn't. So later. Yeah.
So bottom line, right now we have so much information. It's a mass inundation. We're inundated with information.
There's too much.
I got too much. I can't even tell anymore.
At all.
So I go back to breaking it down in a simple way. And I have a track record. I talk about this all the time. I have a 4-year track record of Donald Trump being in charge of this country.
And how it
even through the beginnings of a pandemic. Correct. I have no track record on Kamala Harris. The only track record I have on Kamala Harris is that she got 0 percentage votes when she was running for presidential candidate.
Right.
And she's been tied to Joe Biden's administration, which I vehemently oppose most, if not all, of the policies that have come out of this administration.
Values. She has values.
But values don't do anything for me. They don't do anything for me. I need a track record. If I'm going to go,
she's farther left of Biden.
Right?
Like she's
right.
Like her statement.
I called her a communist. My mom got mad at that too. I said Kamala's a communist.
You're high. See, you stick to, you got word salad, communist, and something else. You stick to like 3 and burn, baby, burn. Those are the 3 things I've heard you stick to as far as your analysis.
Well, she got really mad.
You have to expand your mind a little bit. You have to expand your mind. Okay. And tell your mom how you really feel. You're sick and tired of living at home.
I think she's a communist.
You don't want to live at home.
Yeah,
right. You're tired of it.
Yeah.
They're controlling you.
Yeah,
right. You don't get to eat what you want to eat because they're preparing the meals for you, and you don't go out to buy anything because you're cheap.
Yeah,
right.
I'm not cheap.
Yeah, well, you don't get out on the road much.
Right.
So you're not out on the road much, and you don't. It's a tough existence living up in the 2nd floor all the time. Right.
Yeah,
you got to climb the stairs all the time.
Climb the stairs.
You're pissed.
Yeah. And I want my dog.
So you want your dog. So this isn't about voting at all right now. We'll be right back with Dr. Ruth Westheimer, and so tell your mom.
Do you know Dr. Ruth is? Steve, do you know Dr. Ruth is?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
So I want to ask Frank the same question.
Yep.
If the taxes had been different,
yes,
and you had extra money,
yes,
what would you be doing with it?
I would have more money. I would just have it there. So let me give you a perfect example.
Just saying,
what would I use it for? To accumulate more money. Okay. I would invest. I would buy. I would put some money in the market. I would put a little bit of money in my store. I may expand some. No, but bottom line, what I'm saying is, okay. So our tax season just came by. School tax season.
Oh,
I had 35,000 in my account. Now 35,000 is gone.
Yeah, it's taxes.
Okay, my property taxes. Okay, school taxes.
Yeah.
So bottom line, I saw it, and now it's gone back to 0.
It's back to 0.
So now I got to build it all up again. So sweat equity, and you know what? In another few months, it'll be gone for the county taxes.
What would have happened if you didn't pay the school tax?
They levy. They eventually they have the right to levy on your home.
Oh, they put a lien on your house.
Right. Eventually.
Wow.
I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, but eventually they will.
But like, if you waited a year to pay it. Could you have done that?
No, you could still. You're past. You're going to give you notice and all that. You're obviously, but you still have that. But if you're 2-3 years down the road and you haven't paid any school tax or any county tax, they'll levy the home.
Wow. I didn't know that. So I was just wondering if like you could have gone a couple months and just let it go. Yeah. And
let it go.
Just say it in protest and just say like
protest. That's what I want to do. You know what happens when you protest for your taxes?
Does it just come from the town?
They add late fees. They add late payments onto your protest. All of a sudden, instead of 12, you got to pay 14.
Speaking of protests, today, October 7th, the Israelis were attacked by the
1 year ago today,
and over 100 people were killed and then taken hostage, and the universities, and other places besides universities, but people on some of these campuses decides to protest against the Israelis who were attacked by Hamas. My whole thing on the youth of America,
terrorist organization.
The youth of America used to when the youth of America rebelled, in the old days, it was because we want people to be more accepted. Think about the 60s, everyone to be accepted for free love. They rebelled against the Vietnam War.
A lot of LSD.
But they rebelled against the Vietnam War, which was a war that probably was, if we did get into it originally for the right reasons, it escalated out of control and went to the wrong reasons. You could argue there were reasons to be able to protest against something like that. Now we protest on the side of evil versus good, which is like, I think about the Batman movie, and I used to always say to myself,
which Batman movie?
The Batman movie when Bane goes into the Pittsburgh Steelers stadium and blows it up into one guy's running for a touchdown. Yeah, that one, and he takes over Gotham and everybody's living in their like little. They have a kangaroo court for anyone did anything. Right. They basically kill them. They walk the plank or whatever the heck it is. So my point is this is where where it seems like we're in a world where the Bane side is the side that all of a sudden is taken. Those people, if you remember that movie, they were like, the bad guys are the good guys. Okay.
Right. The anti-hero.
They're not taking it anymore from the mayor of Gotham. And Batman, who was all of a sudden the bad guy. They vilified the good guys, and so we're in a world of society. I'm not going. I'm not even saying that it's like a good guy, bad guy thing. What I'm saying is that Hamas is the bad guys, and we're glorifying them in a way to try and skew a plight of a group of people that don't control their own future anyway when Hamas is the leaders. They don't. The Palestinians do not control their own fate when Hamas is in there. If the Israelis free them of that, then if they actually wanted to have a actual real discussion of having a country that would be, which would not happen because they don't really want to have that discussion, but they claim they do. Well, Hamas is being removed and these places are being removed. So let's see. Do you want to really have a discussion about that? No. What they want to do is just kill more people. Israelis, kill more Jewish people.
Dave, it's gays for Palestine. Have we lost our ingenious minds? Gays for Palestine.
No, Dave.
That's like saying pigs for pork. Pigs for sausage. Pigs are all for sausage. Yay, sausage.
Dave,
yeah, right. It's like Animal Farm. Remember Animal Farm?
Animal Farm. Yeah, right.
Like Columbia and USC graduations were disrupted by the protests.
Remember,
which I couldn't believe was ridiculous.
The movie where they were on the book where they're all on an island. It was we all had to read it as
Lord
kids.
of the Rings.
No,
or Lord of the Flies.
Lord of Flies. That's it.
Yeah, I got the conch.
Exactly the crazy like skewed a mindset right, and it's like that world has become the correct world.
Yeah,
the world that we live in is somehow the wrong world.
Gays for Palestine. Do you see the conundrum there? Do you see the conundrum there?
I thought Palestinians can't be gay.
That is correct. That is correct. In the Muslim religion,
it's not allowed.
You're right. Okay, so why would gays be for a society that would probably take them to the top of the roof and throw them off to their deaths?
Why is that? Like what
are
is
they for the gay people like Palestine?
Yeah, there's
Yes,
tons of them out there. They roll their flags.
Oh, I didn't.
They walk down streets and protest. Gays for Palestine. Gays for Hamas. Gays for Iran. Let's say for Iran. That'll work out well.
Iran.
They don't even let women wear clothes. Like they have to be fully covered.
Yeah, that's a religious. Sure, that's a religious thing.
Yeah,
Right,
so I can't imagine they'd like gay people.
They don't.
Right.
They don't.
So
but then why would gays in this country?
Yeah.
Why would gays in this country support Palestine? I understand it. They're supporting those poor Palestinian people that are being persecuted by the IDF in this terrible invasion.
Who's the IDF?
Israeli Defense Forces.
Okay.
So
the collateral damage.
Right. And they're for those people. But bottom line, those people are being run by an organization of terrorists.
Yeah.
And so them anyway if they don't fall in line.
Exactly. They could care less about them. They're just, like you said, they are collateral damage. They are just, they know that they can throw their people into the gunfire, the missile fire, or the bombs and not have a worry in the world.
Right.
Because they will just get more sympathy for their organization and their cause. And the cause is this. Yes. Don't let anybody misconstrue. The cause is this. Okay. The cause is to kill every Jew.
All of them?
Kill every Jew.
That's what Iran's doing for 2040.
Absolutely right. That's the plan. By 24, they got a clock. Do you know they have a countdown clock in Tehran? That is to get to 2040 for the extinction of all Jews and the return of the land back to the righteous people, back to the Palestinians and the Arabs and whoever else can claim land to that. So they're not trying to make a point. They're not trying to save their own people.
That's not good.
They're not trying to make peace.
No.
They're not trying to be organized and be human and civil.
What they're doing.
They're telling you we're going to kill Jews, and not one Jew, not 10 Jews. We're going to kill all Jews.
And they're not going to stop.
No,
well, they're going to kill. They want to kill all of them.
Right.
But the funny part about the whole the thing is that in Nazi Germany, the Nazis tried to hide the atrocities that they were doing. Okay, because obviously they probably feared that if the world knew, they would come in earlier, and obviously what eventually happened, right? Fight a war about it, right? They in the Middle East, Iran, right, with the countdown, they are telling you what they're doing. That's the they're not trying to hide it. They're not hiding anything.
They want you to know.
They want you to know. The fact that you got people going and protesting and some of our youth or people look, there are some people that just maybe hate Jewish people and that are protesting. That's obviously a group. There's a group
on college campuses. It's crazy.
But there's a group of people. I'm not counting those people because those people are who they're going to be regardless. Right. I'm talking about the people who are grown up in our educational system that somehow think that a group that they don't believe that that's what they want to do when they're telling you. They don't believe that. They just think that the Israelis have come in and taken out their land, and they're just fighting back as rebels, and they really don't want to kill all the Jewish people, but what they want to do is they just want their land back, and after that everything will
be peaceful
again.
Oh, well, maybe that could happen.
That's what they think.
If you think that's going to happen, you're delusional. Israel will fight to the last person. Israel will, Israel right now is fighting on 7 fronts as it is right now, and they've done this before. There's been 5 Arab-Israeli wars. You know how many the Arabs have won? 0.
Yeah, they keep coming back,
and we're part of the help. We're part of the assistance on that.
Yeah,
we're part of the assistance.
You know what's amazing to me about history? And Frank, I'm curious. I think you find this. History is so interesting. Obviously, all this stuff goes back to biblical times too, right? But what's interesting is no matter what the French do, they're always put their foot in their mouth and always are on the wrong side. So Macron goes and says that basically we're not going to support Israel anymore. We're not going to give funds to them anymore. And basically Netanyahu basically told told them off. Basically a big old "F you." Go
saw that.
Fuck yourself.
Yep.
And it was great. Is that the French, no matter what they do, they're always on the wrong side of everything. The French were the ones. The Americans and in all fairness, the Russians and they went in and saved France because the French had as soon as the Nazis walked in, the French Germans went, "Oh, okay, take over our country. We'll give up." They didn't even get a fight. The Nazis thought that were going to get a fight. They didn't even get a fight. They just walked right down into Paris and took Paris.
Dave, the French were basing all of their defenses on the Maginot Line, which was created for World War I. It was a series of cement trenches with cannons and machine guns that lined the border of France and Belgium and Germany, and they were counting on that line to defend them again. So what did the Germans do? They went around it and went over it with planes, and that was the end of the French in about 2 weeks, not even.
So Dave,
genius.
Okay, what would happen, Dave?
Stick to croissants and love. The
U.S. just pulled out and stayed out of the Israeli-Hamas conflict.
They're not. The Americans aren't fighting there.
But we're supporting.
Dave, you know what? We're building up a lot of troops. There are more and more troops now that are going to that region of the world. And I think I'm more. Okay. Well, we're not part of that. And my friend made a good point of this. I got a buddy who lives in Thailand. He does not like Israel at all. He hates it. He was a teacher down in Brooklyn, and he used to have a lot of Arab students. And so he takes the plight of the Arab side more than the Israeli side. And he told me, he goes, "I just hope that this conflict doesn't draw the United States into that war." In the beginning, I was like, "Nah, you got to worry about it. It's not going to." Now I see troop movement. I see the CENTCOM general actually went to. He was just in Israel. So I'm we have 2 naval groups that are out there right now in the Middle East, and I see troop movements. Some small troop movements are going there slowly but surely. So I'm sort of
part of the issue is Iran on that. So
right.
Iran is when it was just, I think, the Houthis and Hamas and Hezbollah, I think they're supplying them. And but by the way, Biden doesn't give them anywhere near. First of all, if Trump was there, I think first of all, Iran will back down immediately. And then I think you would see the Israelis just get everything finished. What should have happened shortly after October 7th, if Biden just said, "Do what you have to do to get rid of it," we probably wouldn't be a year into this war. We probably would have been 2 months in. Hamas would have been eliminated. Iran would not have a chance to mobilize. Hezbollah wouldn't have had a chance to mobilize. But basically what happened, it got dragged, as you could predict what would happen under the Biden administration.
Remember, they said that crucial word. Biden and Kamala Harris said the crucial word to hold everything off. Just don't.
So,
remember, don't.
So we're not involved in fighting.
Don't do it. Don't.
No, I doubt we will be unless Iran made a move at one of our ships that are out there again. So what happened? I mean, they actually did. Biden did nothing.
We just protested.
I think it was the Houthis attacked one of our ships or a couple of our ships, and we did nothing. Okay. So I think the first. Now I could be wrong, but my thing is the first step is that because there's pressure because the Houthis attacked us, we did not. I mean, ridiculous because people died. People don't even know that people died because we didn't even do it. But you have basically Iran, because of what they're sending all the rockets in there. Now it becomes a situation where if Iran takes the next step and starts to go after ships that are in the water over there, which are American ships that are based out, basically to keep everything at bay. If that is the case, then you would have it. I actually think you should to protect I'm not even talking about Israeli. I'm talking about the American troops that are currently out there, which could be vulnerable. And I don't know the strategy, but I would say that I would put some sort of backup there in case there was an issue where they decided to turn around and attack our few ships that are out there, and all of a sudden we could lose Americans because of that. in trying to make sure that everything stays calm in the waters over there for the most part. Because basically America is basically out there in the ocean. I mean, in the what's the sea? The Red Sea. What's the other sea?
The
That's
Dead
there?
Sea.
The Persian Gulf, Mediterranean.
Are they in the Mediterranean or are they in the?
Well, they're in the Persian Gulf.
Is the what? The Persian Gulf?
The Persian Gulf.
Is that
yeah,
where they're sitting?
they're right off.
So
They're right
in
off
the
of that.
Persian Gulf, and yeah, right, to make sure that it doesn't go in
Escalate or whatever.
Well, beyond the air, multiple countries around there don't get attacked and that kind of.
And trace it all back. Trace all of this back to the $6 billion in funds that was released and allowed to go back to Iran.
Yes,
because without money there are no terrorist movements. Without funding there is no. So trace again. If you want to talk about good policy and bad policy, Trump good, Biden bad. That's it. It's a very simple. I mean, the orangutan can press the damn button, good and bad, by looking at the results of what happened. Once you release money, even if it's theirs, you froze it. Don't release it back to terrorists.
No, that's not the place it should be going.
That's where Trump was. Trump made policy without having to make policy.
Right.
So by not releasing it, he didn't have to even take a side in the situation, right?
No,
even though
he did it without
Israel. By doing that, he's showing Israel that he supports them without having to allocate any extra funds, without having to provide warships or anything like that. They know that they're supported, right? And it tells Iran, don't be messing with the United States, okay, and our allies, right? In a way with policy without really having to do a lot. Biden and the whole this is where I definitely agree with Frank on this. The whole what do you call them? The hawkish viewpoint of that. Hawkish meaning war, like desire for bloodshed and fighting.
Oh, right.
Okay, that whole like military industrial complex is something happens and we let them determine it and give them back their money and then if they fight, then we'll intervene and we'll protect our friends. By doing good policy, like Frank says, you eliminate a lot of these issues.
Yeah.
Okay. At worst, you put them at bay. You keep them at bay. So nobody's fighting, which ultimately, if you look at throughout history, there's been one constant in world history, and that's war, right? So what you're trying to do is keep that at bay. I'm not saying you keep it at bay for 1,000 years. I'm not saying
we haven't had one in a while, though.
But we've started many to buffer ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So then that's just a fact of life.
To keep them from coming here.
That's just a fact of life. We've started many when this country has, and other countries have started stuff too. But bottom line, every country that started is trying to get at us.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying there's no Americans out there going, man, we really, you know what? We got to get to Russia. We got to have Russia's technology, Russia's stuff. We need to get Russian modernization. So we got to fight Russia.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody's saying that. China, maybe, but nobody's really saying, we got to get to China. We got to get China's. We need their sweatshops and we need their technology on how they steal our technology. And we really want that. We envy that. Everyone envies this country. If anyone says, listen, the 14 hijackers that did 9/11, and they're all from the Middle East, right? A lot of them were Saudis, right? Okay, so they proclaim they hate this country, they hate Americans, right? They want to kill Americans. They ran plane into our buildings and killed us, killed Americans.
They did,
but they came over here. They got educated in our universities.
Yep.
They hung out in our bars. They slept with our women. They love all that, right? So they love the lifestyle. They love this country, but unfortunately, their religion and their leaders brainwashed them into thinking that that's what they had to do was to attack us. Okay, so bottom line, we are the envy of the world. This country is the envy. Any of these kids that are complaining about, I want to go, I want to get out of the country. I want to go to another country. Be my guest. Call me up. I'll do a GoFundMe for you. I'll throw in a couple bucks. Get a plane ticket and go to Yemen. Go to Iran. Go to Ukraine
and Haiti.
Go to Russia.
There's no food.
Go to Haiti.
There's no food.
Go anywhere.
Okay.
And stop saying, Sweden and Denmark and
Switzerland.
Stop saying those 3 freaking countries where you pay 60% in taxes, right? Okay, you're freezing your ass off. Okay, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what is their country? What are they developed? Well,
tell me
what major things they developed. What do they control? Nothing.
IKEA.
They have to go with the flow. Ideas. They have to go with the flow.
No, they're happy.
No,
they're happy.
Great. That's what. Then send Kamala there. She wants to bring joy. Bring it to Sweden again. We don't give a shit.
No, she just says
we're just.
No,
listen.
and Sweden has. It's funny because Sweden is very welcoming. Believe it or not, people don't realize it, but they allowed migrants to come in there. They have
great-looking women, too.
They do have great-looking women. They allowed the migrants to come in there that happened to be the majority of them were Muslim, okay? And now there are areas in Sweden. Look it up.
You can't go. The cops can't go there.
Cannot go.
Okay.
You cannot go because you will get, at worst, beat up, maybe killed.
The same in France, the same in Britain. Look what's happening in England right now, right? Across that country, there are revolts, and the revolts are being led by Englishmen. They're fed up,
yes,
and they've had enough with immigration because their streets are not safe. The money is being funded to these immigrant groups that are coming through, and they're all Muslim groups. And then maybe I know I'm sounding like I'm picking on the Muslim religion, and I don't. I think a lot of the scriptures are good in reading, okay, and in general reading.
You've read the Quran?
I've read the Quran, not in depth. I've almost had like cheat sheet notes on the Quran, okay? So there is good and there's bad, but it's just like the Bible. The Bible is good and bad too. It depends on who's translating it.
Right.
And the problem is there's a lot of shitbags that translate it.
It's very subjective.
Right.
There's good and bad in any group, but there
absolutely.
is. But the policy, right? The policy of certain countries and certain religious leaders in Islam is a policy of terrorism, is a policy. Correct. And so what happens is people underneath their watch are, like Frank said, brainwashed. It's not that those people wouldn't be good people. It's that they've been told from the time that they're young that these are your enemies. These are your mortal enemies. Okay.
Right.
It's to me, it's no different. Well, it is different because there's an end game of killing people on it. But there is also
that's
an
issue. Tough end game, Dave. That's a real tough end game.
No, it's a tough. I'm saying what I'm saying is there are when you talk about racial issues in the United States, right? There are people in the old days when they were under, they were taught racism and that black people were bad and looked at them in a certain way. Though those people were racist and they were raised racist and I don't mean, Ku Klux Klan, right? Those people were actually dangerous people within the United States. When the Ku Klux Klan was really a thing, I'm not talking about now this fake nonsense of that all of a sudden Klan members are going to start riding around on horses. I mean, get serious. I'm talking about when it was really a thing in the early 1900s, late 1800s, early 1930s. Those were real issues that could for black people that were an issue where they had to deal with that, right? So that was within our country. Those were real issues, and someone who grew up under that may also think that way. So it's not that Muslim people are bad. It's that if you grow up in Sharia law and you're
just brought up that
your
way,
whole life, it's not that it's going to be very difficult for you to think differently,
to change your mindset. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
and that's
Dave,
the hard part. That's the dangerous part.
I agree with you. And on that point, unfortunately, we have to end our discussion.
That's it.
On a spirited rebel republic.
What?
Who's running this shit show?
We only get an hour. I'm sorry.
Come on.
Yeah. Well, we'll try to get more time.
Why don't we do 3 hours and then we can just chop it up and edit it, make ourselves look really good.
We will. We'll do one every night this week, whenever you want. Whenever you want.
I can't.
So that's
for Bibi Netanyahu
and my voting
Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X. This is the greatest podcast host in the universe.
Well, I want my voting ballot back, so everyone knows that.
Whose mother stole his voting ballot.
My voting ballot, and she said I can't vote. And I
The
want
question
everyone
is,
to
would
know
Martin
that.
Luther King, BB, and Malcolm X
And Dave
and JFK, would they like the oranges or would they like
or the lemons.
Yeah.
Dave, I want you to make make a short of me saying that my mother took my voting ballot and have it go viral.
And then have a little baby, have like a baby thing. My mom took my voting ballot.
Yeah, and I can't vote because she doesn't like who I'm going to vote for. So make that a short, and that'll go viral.
I think you guys should do you should do one of those. Yeah, I don't know if you ever seen these TikToks where like they come in and then you instead of like surprising her with some crazy gadget or something where people go nuts, what you do is you take one of those ballots and you check off Trump, and then you leave it on the table, and then you leave a note and said, "Mom, for you, love, Steve."
Yeah,
you sign it and you mail it in for her.
Yeah, we'll do that.
That's what you should do.
All right.
Now that I know that Kitty's a Democrat.
Yeah, she's a union.
I'll be. Oh, did you tell her that 58% of the Teamsters are voting for Trump?
Yes.
Well, we'll tell her that next time.
Yeah.
All right. So,
you sure that's it?
Yeah. For Coach Schuman,
we have so much more to talk about still.
We'll do more episodes.
We didn't talk about the relief in North Carolina yet.
Yes, we started to, but then like you told us about Haiti and
we drifted right off.
Well, we'll talk about it next time.
Dave's been losing weight. He's been eating the trees.
Oh,
low cal.
Dave, I'm a voice of reason. Frank Cristiano. I don't get the vote. I'm the best podcast host and radio host in the universe, Steve Cully. This has been Rebel Republic on 97.9 Unity Radio. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade.
Yeah,
Take 2 oranges.
Eat dried sausage.
And throw them back at life.